right, lads, we're here. How are you? Alex,
Oh,
first. How are you?
wonderful. How are you?
I'm fine. Labor Day. Excited for school to
Yes.
start. Daniel, how are you, Mr. Your first Labor Day not as a student?
It's weird because I'm still at school. I'm still same school we're all been at. All been thriving, in person. Remember when that happened and online. So it's weird. So I share with you guys that it's a weird thing. It's like a weird excitement for the year in a way.
Yeah. It's you. What does it feel normal that you're like an adult, but it's like Labor Day? It's like, well, I should be like just rocking back and forth, like, oh, do I have my school supplies? And instead, it's like, oh, it's just a holiday for me.
In a way, it's kind of like how I approached it even with my previous job. Every day is just story day.
That's
So I
that's
still
very-
feel like I'm still in school, right?
fair enough.
Yeah.
Let's keep those deadlines and such. All right, guys. Well, hockey's going on. We're just counting down the training camps and whatnot. But the big news, really, is the newest bit of big news in the world of hockey, and that is Christian Dvorak is now a Montreal Canadian. Jesperi Kotkaniemi is officially a Carolina Hurricane. The Habs did not match the offer sheet. They get Carolina's first and third in this year's draft in Montreal. One of those picks, I should say, might be going to Arizona for the Dvorak deal. There are some conditions in there, but basically it's a first and a conditional second going the other way. It's a whole hoopla, guys. But I guess first off, your immediate reaction, the reports starting to come out were leaning towards Jesperi being gone, but there it is. Another first-round pick of the Habs, just swing and a miss.
Yeah. So for me, at least, it doesn't come as a surprise, as much as a surprise as I guess it seemed like the general consensus was. It just felt like at 6.1 and then moving forward, it's just a high cap hit to deal with, and considering the other contracts that need to be doled out and essentially improving the team. Adding Christian Dvorak at $4.5 million for the next 4 years, I think it's about 4 years, just seemed like a better move now and even a few years down the line from now.
Mhm.
Especially if the relationship between Kotkaniemi and the coaching staff wasn't spectacular.
Feels like it. Feels like it maybe wasn't. The trust was not there, Daniel.
No, not at all. And the way I see things now is when we talk about term, we talk about team control. These are things that I knew was going to happen in terms of weaponizing the offer sheet. But it was weird. I never thought it would be someone like Carolina or Jesperi Kotkaniemi, to be honest. Like, we talked about Vancouver this whole year, and we don't know what's going to happen up until its training camp. But I think this was the most necessary thing and the best thing that Marc Bergevin could have done in this situation. We always talk about Christian Dvorak. I know the knock on him is that he's never hit 40 points, but again, like, who has he been playing with? What kind of organization the Coyotes have kind of been, and I think he can kind of thrive in what Montreal needs right now. With Kotkaniemi, that 6.1, that's a hard pill to swallow, I think. And even now, I knew this was going to happen. I knew that Montreal had to move on. I don't think necessarily it is a waste of a pick. I don't see it that way. I see it as they tried their best, and it doesn't always work out when you go off the board. But Christian Dvorak's only 25. He could still fill that gap and be someone that can move up the lineup.
Yeah. It's interesting with him is apparently one of his best line mates was Connor Garland. And if you think about some of the guys around Arizona, really the highlights, there's Clayton Keller, there's Phil Kessel, there's Connor Garland. It seems to be very much that Dvorak is a guy that can be elevated with his wingers. And the big talking point has been like wingers that can carry the puck. And if you think about it, I think there are I think a big strength in Montreal is just like the amount of talented wingers they have. And I think a lot of people are drawing the line between him and playing with Jonathan Drouin. And if you think maybe a guy who similarly plays that sort of physical side of Garland, a teammate apparently in London, I found out in Dvorak to his media availability about an hour and a half ago, Josh Anderson. That could be a pretty nifty line. You keep Toffoli away, like up on the top line with the Suzuki and Caulfield, and then you just got Gallagher and Hoffman rocking the third line. You're like, oh, this is not bad. So
It's all top 9.
yeah, that's a solid top 9. I mean, the question really is though, like the third line center. But again, like Gallagher, I think that's not a bad third liner to have in this league. I think a big question looking at Montreal too, and we'll talk about Carolina in a second here, is like how important Ryan Poehling might actually be this year, and like to see if he finally gets that NHL spot, because he's another one of those. Like I think at this point you can say like the best he'll be is a third line center and a solid one at that. Like his development took the right step last season in Laval, right? And he's a bigger guy. They take a little longer to go, and he's got some injury problems. But they're a fascinating team, Montreal. They seem to always be. And there seems to be word, by the way, that Bergevin may be extended. Like we know the deal's on the table, but it might be a 3-year looking, like announced at the beginning of the season. I don't know about that. I'm looking back here, and I think like the bigger point to talk about here with Montreal is, yeah, they kind of put themselves in position to be offer sheeted. As much as Don Waddell can say it wasn't personal, I mean, it was. Like, it wasn't personal, but I'm going to mirror the statement made by Marc Bergevin last year. And, the reports all pointed to Tom Dundon being the big guy. But if you look at Montreal, and we can just, guys like LeBanc, we look at Sergachev, what happened with him. Much different, like good player, but they got rid of him. You think to Noah Juleson, bit of a rough situation there. Nikita Sherbak, think of Michael McCarron. And now Jesperi Kotkaniemi seems to be like another example of Montreal mishandling their first round picks. It feels like the only one really left standing that seems to have been a diamond in the rough is Cole Caulfield.
Right. Yeah, it's a weird situation because a lot of the times it's actually the opposite, right? A lot of teams, it's automatic. You hit on your first round picks because that's the expectation.
Yeah.
And then with Montreal, it seems to be maybe the other way around, or the guys they go out and get in free agency seem to help. I mean, look at Ben Sherratt. Say what you want about Ben Sherratt. I mean, he's not fantastic, but he's doing his job. Mm-hmm. We'll see what Mike Hoffman is like, but Tyler Toffoli or Josh Anderson, and I mean, the list can go on. Jake Allen. These are guys that Bergevin has brought in, and it's worked out. It's just there's this weird thing that happens, and I don't know if it's a big market thing because I think the same thing happens in Toronto, where it's just flip-flops back and forth between is he doing a good job or is he doing a bad job? And after Kotkaniemi, there was just this weird perception that he hadn't done a good job, but it's like, okay, well, would you have matched the offer sheet at 6.1? Like personally, I wouldn't have. I would have gone the route that Bergevin went and brought in Christian Dvorak or whoever else. Like I think Friedman brought up, they might have called on Kuznetsov or Thomas Hertl, but I mean, either way, Christian Dvorak is a great second line center to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like you think about it also, like Montreal have had, like you think Lekkonen's a second rounder, Gallagher famously is a late round pick, Evans is a 7th rounder. They're better, it seems to be, in rounds 2 through 7 than they are in the first. And what's funny is you look at some of the guys they've acquired, they're better at just trading for former first overall picks than they are at actually developing. And it's so frustrating when you realize whichever one of these first round picks end up going to Arizona is the first rounder that Bergevin's ever traded. And at some point you're like, man, you would have probably just been better off in the long-term trading these picks because it can't seem to develop. And it's, Bergevin's the master of cleaning up his own mess, I think. Like you look at how like the sort of retool has gone for Montreal, and then you look at like, listen, they clearly cheaped out on Kotkaniemi and trying to get this bridge done, fall into the offer sheet stuff, but then they can find a pretty suitable replacement. And I mean, who cares about a second round pick 3 years from now? That is 3 years from now's problem. Don't care.
He might not even be here.
He'll probably be gone by then. I mean, I don't want to say hopefully, but at this point, like, is there a more controversial GM in the league than Marc Bergevin? Like, say what you want about Kyle Dubas, his signings. Marc Bergevin, in the past few months, gambled on losing Gary Price and drafted Logan May. And let Phil Deneau go for $500,000 more than he was willing to go. I mean, this guy is
active GMs. Is that
active DM. Yeah.
Active DMs,
I mean,
yeah, something like
we're getting to. I mean, I'd say Jim Benning is highly up there.
that. Yeah, his
Yeah,
move.
Maybe
Yeah.
not with the contra.
I mean,
I mean, he did a bit of cleanup this summer.
he didn't handle Virtanen very well, though.
No,
Hasn't done that at all.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I guess he cleaned up the mess for now, which will be an issue in like 3 years.
other people's problem.
You know what he
Whenever
did?
OEL becomes when OEL goes down, that's when it becomes an issue.
What Jim Benning did is he was told to clean up, and he put the garbage under his bed.
Right.
He
Exactly.
did the classic thing.
That's
Yeah.
You know what reminds me about the first round picks and like never hitting on them, but you're really good in the later rounds?
Who?
Steve Yzerman had that reputation for a while in Tampa Bay.
Really?
Yeah, because like he didn't draft Stamkos, but every other pick after that, like all of the guys that we think of right now, Yzerman drafted them, but none of them were first round picks. Like Kucherov, he was a second round pick. Like Braden Point was a third round pick. Andre Palat was a 7th round pick. And then the guys he took in the first round were like Brett Conley and Vladislav Nemestikov. And I had Jonathan Drouin.
And he flipped, but look at the players he flipped those guys for.
Yeah.
Pretty sure Nemestikov was part of the deal that brought in Miller and McDonough.
Yeah.
And then obviously Sergachev was pretty all right. Pretty good. Lovely stuff, isn't it? Lovely
what
stuff.
I've heard.
Mm-hmm. Looking by what's really I like about Dvorak, by the way, is you've already seen guys like Jacob Chikrin, Jason Demers. Seems to be just a really light guy. I feel really bad that the guy just closed on a house. I mean, he'll still live there in like probably the off season. And Arizona seems like it's a nice place to live, just not a great place to play. Yeah. You got to feel for him there. But yeah, you know what? I was looking at some old tape of Montreal's power play, right? And Dvorak is very famously very good in the bumper position. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I think I complained about it a few times. There was that weird sort of like power play setup where they almost had 2 net front guys, and they would have like Perry and Gallagher both like collapse to the net. It never really worked, and they took like one of them out to play, and then they almost didn't have a bumper sort of trigger guy. I think Dvorak's really going to help there. Not to mention, it's just like anything to try and help this power play at this point. Him, Hoffman, I don't care. Make it work.
Yeah, I think they added the special teams seem to be, well, not the PK, the power play seemed to be an issue over the last season. And I think they brought in, when they brought in Mike Hoffman, that was pure, like from what we all know, and we've talked about on the show before, he is pretty good on the power play. Okay everywhere else, but if you want to improve your power play, there's another guy, and just bringing in another guy, Christian Dvorak, who can do the same thing, just in a different area of the power play. What can go wrong? Yeah.
And guess what? He kills penalties too. Great face-off guy. You have a little bit to help replace Sano. You maybe try and, boost the offense that Kotkaniemi would have provided if its development had continued. Again, like I know people were saying, like, do it for Thomas Hertl. Like, guys, listen. I think the Sharks are going to get rid of their best centerman, like their best forward.
No.
Like unless you have like an extension in place, you're not doing that deal. You're not doing it. And I'm pretty sure if you're Hertl right now, you'd rather see the open market because you can get a stupid amount of money. I said in my video, you need a dance partner to make it work. So we'll see. Looking at Carolina, they've stated because their center depth, AE, Trocheck, Aho, Jordan Stahl, that's all right, isn't it? That Kotkaniemi will start on the wing. Not that it was a meme, but it's probably the right decision. Give him some stability, put him on any one of those wingers. Could be I think probably like putting him with Jordan Stahl, I don't think would be the worst option.
I like that one.
Daily Faceoff has him next to Jordan Stahl.
Really? Because if there's a guy you want to learn the like defensive side of the game, and like especially the faceoffs from, which we all know like the issues with young players and faceoffs, few better guys to learn from than Jordan Stahl.
Yeah, like say what you want about the cap hit, and maybe we can have that discussion about the offer sheet itself.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like Kotkaniemi anywhere on this lineup. Like it's just tough for me to imagine them putting him in the top 6 right away, because they're that first line, I mean, you're not really touching, right? Svechnikov, Aho, Teravainen. I just can't see them moving that around. I can see him going in the top 6 if, let's say, Nino Niederreiter does maybe fall off a bit.
Yeah.
But with Jordan Staal, like either way, wherever you're putting him, I think he's going to succeed. Like this is a very good team, the same way he could succeed in Montreal if he played on the wing.
Mm-hmm. He just needs to play his game. I think that the pressure is not there anymore of that big market. There's not that understanding of, okay, we took you third to be a center. Now go out and play. I think at this point, he just needs to focus on playing hockey at this point. So, and again, like I forgot, he's still just 20 right now.
I think he's 21, but
because I think when is his birthday? Because I was on.
Couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you.
Okay.
You're right.
He was ranked as he was 20 when I just checked it today.
Okay, well then you're probably right. I swore he was 21. Anyway, he's 21. He's extremely young. Yeah, development. It's a thing. Yeah, well, it's interesting that you think about playing his game, because Bergevin was quite critical about talking about. Do you know what? The guy needs to stick to playing his game, and when he goes around like off of it, he starts to kind of lose himself. It's just that consistency you got to learn, right? Like the big thing with him, with Kotkaniemi right now, is he just needs to get reps in as a player. He just needs to get the experience. And I think you can say, yeah, that Montreal did mishandle him. Like, listen, let's be honest. Oh, no, sorry. You know what? Well, we talked enough about this. Carolina. One thing I did want to mention, what helps with the $6 million cap hit is Jake Gardiner is getting surgery. He'll be out for the season, apparently, which is so unfortunate. The injuries that guy has been getting lately is terrible. So that will help them in the 1 year, and then we'll see how quickly in January he gets an extension.
Yeah.
And if it's around $4 million for some term, then we knew, okay, well, then I guess that was in place.
Right.
And it's a Kevin Labanc situation.
I feel bad for Jake Gardiner, though.
Yeah.
I think I have a few, just a personal guess here, but I wonder if this has to do, if this is the same injury that was bugging him his last year in Toronto, where he missed part of the end of the season and then came back.
This is back, right?
It was a back injury, and this was also a back injury. So I have a feeling it's been bugging him then, which is unfortunate. Like back injuries are such a pain.
Hey Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel, I'm looking at Cap Friendly.
Yeah.
And his birthday is July 6, 2020.
Okay.
2000, and it shows he's 21.
Okay, 21. Okay.
It's okay. The site you looked at was lying to you, and
they were lying.
Who was it again? What site was it?
I think it was Cat Friendly.
Daniel, what's wrong? We're looking at Daniel.
Looking at different ones.
Okay. My mistake. Don't worry.
No, that's Cat Friendly's fault. Speaking of Cat Friendly, actually, congratulations to Dominic Ziem. I know I'm probably saying that wrong, but he's the founder or one of the key founders of Cap Friendly, has just been hired into the NHL. Cap Friendly put this big statement out. Luckily, it sounds like Cap Friendly is staying afloat. Famously, when General Fanager shut down, that site was just gone. We all know what happened to Cap Geek. I did have a slight heart attack where I'm like, oh no. Oh no.
What am I supposed to do in class for 3 hours?
I know.
Every lecture you went to in one of our classes, if you just went to the back row, because most of the lecture halls are on a downward thing on the seating. If you just looked into the plane, every lecture you will see at least one person on Cap Friendly. It was amazing.
Or there was a hockey game on. Because that one class, it was what class was it? It was the documentary survey class. Daniel, I don't think you were there. It was
the Gary Gold one.
Yeah.
That absolutely no one actually, by the way, he's getting hired to Chicago. The one that everyone absolutely always paid attention to.
100%, yeah.
And I never had to tweet an Alex during class to pay attention to the movie.
Was this the evening class?
Yeah. It was.
Yeah, okay. I remember when I was heading home, you're like, oh, we're heading to lecture.
6 to 8, I think it was. That was a class we've talked about before, where Alex would he came early to that class once because he's like, hey, so what happened to the trade deadline? Because he had an exam in the morning or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had like a midterm like 4 to 6 in that slot, so it was just it was awful. It was absolutely awful, or it was like 3 to 5
In the morning, I had an interview for that feature class.
It
Then
was me. That was us.
then I had a midterm in the afternoon from like 1 to 4, and then I had, or whatever, and then the class from 6 to 9 or whatever, whenever the class was. Brutal.
It was a 3 hour, whatever. It was way too late.
It was Monday, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Was it a Monday?
Not a great way. Whenever it was awful.
It was, yeah, exactly.
And like Gary knew, like Gary, like, and the thing with Gary Gould, he's a great professor, but it's like he will keep you for the 3 hour thing, not to be rude, but his thing is like you're paying for school. School's expensive, so he'll keep you. But then he realized it's like I'm keeping these guys. I have to keep them this late on a Monday night to start the week, and we had to do a quiz to answer like for these freaking movies, and some of them were like so old they weren't even in color. Like he was in an unwinnable situation,
which we obviously all did individually.
Okay, and we'll move on from there, shall we? Okay,
we're just talking about school because it's coming up again.
Yeah, year 4. Can't wait to go. But yeah, congratulations to Dominic with Chicago. And thank you for making Shortcat Friendly is still running itself, because I don't know what we would do without it. Genuinely.
Yeah, same here.
It would be brutal. It'd be brutal.
Okay. Looking now, the Coyotes, they're doing some stuff. They have officially put in a bid. Okay, is it Tempe or Tempe? I was listening back to our episode with Will, and it turns out I've been pronouncing this place in Arizona completely wrong.
I think it's Tempe.
Okay. Well, anyway, they put in an arena bid there, have the Coyotes in an attempt to stay in Arizona.
The attempt, sorry.
They're only going to be there temporary because Arizona.
A temp for the Tempe. Say there you go.
I thought mine was good, Daniel.
Okay, sorry. I'm thinking. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead for episode ideas, episode title ideas.
Temporary living situation. No, there's something there. There's something there. Yeah. Take a note about that. That will be our future episode. But yeah, Merlot Group, they are really trying to stay in Arizona for now.
Safe face. Do you guys ever watch Arrested Development?
100%.
No.
Okay, you know when Tobias decides to become
an actor?
An actor.
Yes.
And he doesn't read the script properly, where it's a commercial where they're having a fire sale for you gotta take, and he thinks that they're reacting to a fire going on. And then I remember someone, I have to find it, it's like a meme of all the players that Arizona has traded this offseason, and it's Tobias going, "Oh my gosh, we're having a fire sale."
Yeah.
I just think of this every time in Arizona, like, who are you gonna go there to? I mean, you have Clayton Keller and
Bill Armstrong started the fire. Da, da, da.
Like Bill Armstrong looks like a genius.
So you mentioned that. Because, listen, we talked a lot about the Arizona Coyotes and their sort of arena situation or lack thereof last episode. This is going to be a nice little transition. After the Dvorak deal, the Arizona Coyotes have 3 first-round picks this upcoming draft, 5 seconds. In 2024, they have 3 seconds. And next year, they still have a first, a second, and a third. They have a total in the first 3 rounds of the next 3 drafts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18 picks. Quick math, probably wrong there. That is a stupid amount of draft capital. And Bill Armstrong, like take a bow. Here's what the Coyotes roster looks like. Their goalies are Carter Hutton. When did that happen? Carter Hutton and Yoel Coronar. I know I'm saying that wrong. That's the guy they got from San Jose. Their defense is Anton Stroman, Jacob Chikrin, poor guy, Shane Gostisbehere, Ilya Lyubushkin, Connor Timmins, and Kyle Capobianco. Oof.
The name, by the way.
It's a great name.
He's a local boy, right? Like, he's from Vaughan.
Okay, wait, hold on. Is he... Okay, He's from Mississauga, Ontario.
Okay, sorry.
I was about to say Vaughan is in Canada, my good friend. We live near Vaughan, the three of us.
Yes.
Is there a Vaughan, Arizona?
No.
Oh.
I meant Ontario. Ontario. Sorry. Yeah, I should have clarified.
Local guy from Eric Stahl from Thunder Bay, local area of Arizona.
It is local area.
Anyway, though, their forwards: Travis Boyd, Liam O'Brien. I don't think that's a real person. Christian Fisher, Ryan Dzingel, Johan Larson, Lawson Krause, Jay Beagle, Anton Roussel, Dmitry Yaskin is still around.
Wow.
Andrew Ladd, Nick Schmaltz, Phil Kessel, attaboy, and Clayton Keller.
And don't forget, you're missing one important name.
Who am I forgetting?
Louis Eriksson.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
How did I miss Louis Eriksson? Wow, what a shame.
Either way, like I bet he had assets for at least a couple of these guys at the trade deadline.
Oh, Phil can get you first.
Even like Ryan Dzingel.
Yeah.
Back to Ottawa.
Listen,
The ultimate top 9 guy. You know what I'm talking about? Like he's the guy where it's like it will work in the top 9.
Yeah. Like sorry, go ahead.
No, he's just a classic example of that.
I'm going really bold here. Like really bold. But I can just imagine a scenario where there's a team who wants Louis Eriksson, but they do the cap retention twice to get him.
He just has a great year.
Yeah, like there's no one else on this team who can have a great year. Like Clayton Keller, Phil Kessel, Nick Schmaltz.
The Louis Eriksson is a deity Twitter account goes off. Like I told you.
What's their cap hit right now?
Their projected cap hit is $69,500,000 and some spare change.
What's the cap floor?
The cap floor, I don't know. It's around 50 million. They have just under 12 million in cap space still.
Okay.
Which is hilarious. In fact, what's really funny is they only have 3 forwards who are locked under contract after this year, that being Ladd, Schmaltz, and Keller. And defense, it's 3 guys: Timmins, Gostisbehere, and Chychrun. Chychrun making $4.6 million, by the way.
Steal.
And their goalies are both up after this year as well. Oh, that's hilarious.
So Shane Wright and Connor Bedard are both going to be on this team, right?
And it's going to be such a shame for them. I just realized they retained $1 million in Darcy Kemper, apparently.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes, they did.
Nice. Good job. The roster is awful, but they want it to be. I just hope they don't go the route of Buffalo where it's just they never recover. And then don't make the playoffs for how long it's been since Buffalo last made it?
2011.
So
10 years.
Holy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like I think I wouldn't be surprised, like just looking at some of the names on the roster. Yeah, they're older guys, but I can see them re-signing them for cheap deals, just to not for the sake of having them, but for the sake of trying to create something. Like the thing with Buffalo was that they literally stripped that thing down to the bones and had nothing there to rebuild it except Jack Eichel and now Rasmus Dahlin. Like they just already had to begin with a horrible culture. But I think that, oh man, like it's just that I think it has more to do with the outside of hockey, the things going on outside of hockey, and Arizona is still dealing with those things outside of hockey.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest issue for me.
Yeah. And like for me, what I feel is that with Buffalo, and we've talked about it before, is just they've been really bad, but they still have fans going. They still have people doing those call-in shows and complaining about their teams, right? I don't hear those examples with Arizona where we've mentioned before where they're that type of franchise that they have to perform to get people in the seats. And the approach they're taking now is either this is going to work really well moving forward and you're going to have to be able to compel people to stay here long term, or this is just another example of this is why they're relocating.
I don't know exactly what their scouting situation is like there, but it wasn't that long ago when it was the Coyotes or this up-and-coming team with all these young players, and they've just traded away most of those young players. It's like Dvorak was the future. Now he's a have now. Thank you. Appreciate it. Poor Chychrun. I found out the other day. Do you guys know who Jacob Chikrin's uncle is?
Oh man, I know it, but I don't.
Al McInnes?
Luke Richardson.
Yes.
Oh.
Assistant coach at Montreal.
Yes,
He was
yes.
sad that Dvorak got traded. I'm just saying, if you want to, Jacob, our doors are open for you. Big fan of Jacob Chikrin.
Montreal probably has to take back like Louis Erickson or something.
No. I think
No, they
Montreal-
want the dead money. They
Want the dead money.
Yeah,
Okay.
remember? Montreal probably sends Paul Byron, and then I don't care what you give up, go get Jacob Chikrin. Because he's good. He's exactly the player they need. Okay. Speaking of Montreal, one last thing we should probably mention with them, the Logan Mailloux situation continues to get worse and worse. AKA, he has been suspended indefinitely by the CHL. He can reapply to come back in at the beginning of January. Mark Bergevin told the media today that apparently he'll remain with the London Knights entourage. I don't know if he specifically said entourage in French, but it was a translated quote. I don't know entourage in French, but you know what I mean. He's with that sort of group. It's kind of funny, but disappointing at the same time that the CHL took more measures than both the NHL and the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, it's not fantastic. It's not
Not a good
fantastic
look.
from Montreal's point of view. Like, especially, you know what made it worse for Montreal is when people started talking. That's like when people in the organization had to answer for their situation.
When
It
Trevor
just got
Timmins
worse.
had nothing to say.
When Trevor Timmins had nothing
Yeah.
to say, when the Habs released a statement 5 minutes after they made the pick, like it's just not a good look.
No,
It really isn't, and this just, I think, tacks on to it from Montreal's perspective.
sorry.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like the lower junior levels are saying that this is not right and this is what we're gonna do accordingly, and then it just it just shows to like, okay, this isn't how an NHL team should be dealing with this. And again, when we talk about the statements, we also have to mention the Molson statement, like in the middle of free agency.
Yep.
Yeah,
Not even the middle, the start of it. 30 minutes in. I'm really sad, guys. I had my dog with me in here, just one less dog to bark, like you heard the Rottweiler earlier. And my mom just quietly opened the door and took my dog. So I'm really sad now. I'm really sad. Poor Carrie. Love her. Okay, looking towards the rest of the hockey. Good news, guys. The NHL are going to the Olympics. Let's go! Yes! Woohoo! Now, if COVID messes everything up, but as it stands right now, they're going to Beijing, baby, and it's gonna be so much fun. And this might be the dream team of like Canadian hockey history, honestly.
Yeah, I can't be more happy to be wrong about something.
So before we get there, though, we're gonna look at the Athletics projections for some of the rosters for the international teams.
Does it also have Nazem Kadri and Philip Danault on it?
It doesn't. They didn't Jared Spurgeon. I'm like, cool, and I'll get into that because it seems to be everyone thinks they're going to bring 7 offensive defensemen and have no balance because you know what, systems don't matter. The Hockey Canada, idiot.
No.
Anyway, so this is a statement from Bill Daly, Deputy Commissioner. Gary Bettman didn't say anything because this statement speaks volumes. So I remember I sent this to Will Baldwin. A minute later, I saw his tweet about it. I'm like, okay. So this is from Bill Daly. Quote, "We understand how passionately NHL players feel about representing and competing for their countries. We are very pleased that we were able to conclude arrangements that will allow them to resume best-on-best competition on the Olympic stage." Like, talk about, like, could you not have just as well put in there, we're happy for the fans? Like,
No.
Like, it's just such a, like, okay, we're great. It really feels like you had to drag that statement out of them. It's just, you couldn't even pretended to be happy about it. Like, what an actual butthurt league they are. It's so disappointing.
I have a feeling they weren't expecting the IOS or the IIHF to agree to their terms, and this kind of just came out of nowhere, and they're like, damn it,
Okay, you got your insurance.
How are we supposed to say? How are we supposed to say no when you're literally giving us what we wanted? Like it couldn't be more clear to someone on the outside that the NHL does not want to go to the Olympics. Like it couldn't be more clear. I think like, sure, you can say, oh, they released the schedule with the Olympic break. Yeah, to make it look like they might go to the Olympics when we all know they do not want to go.
It's weird. Again, like what we've mentioned before, it feels like they're all about the immediate gains and not really the overall influence of the game. Where, again, every other league does this. You know what I mean? Like the World Baseball Classic, the Olympics for basketball. You can name other ones. And I think hockey is still in that situation. It's like, no, you need this. You need to expand. Like, did you see what happened during COVID in terms of revenue? Have you looked at the lists of what teams are making money and which ones are not? This is a situation where you have to go.
I think Will said it perfectly last episode. The NHL is interested in growing the league, not interested in growing the sport.
That's the best quote that's ever come out of the show, by the way. I'm so struck by how good that was.
Yeah, that was the best quote.
Oh, damn it, Will. How dare you? But, it made me genuinely annoyed. Like, it really annoyed me saying that. And, you just hate everything, Gary. You just really don't like us. Okay. So, The Athletic, they have released their the Olympic staff's roster. And I have by the way, cover picture, Carey Price. I'll have to say it. Okay, Team Canada. The goalies, Price.
Do you want to share it or no?
Oh, yeah,
it's up to you.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Or you could just go read it on The Athletic.
Support them.
Exactly.
We're good with that, but we can.
No, we're giving them free content by streaming a.
Okay, we're not gonna do every team. Okay, we're not gonna be that cheeky about it.
Okay.
We're gonna do the ones that matter. Okay, no Finland. Sorry.
No US. No US.
You have a vendetta against Finland right now after what happened this Saturday.
No, I just don't. I don't. No, it's just Finland.
Okay.
The goalies. This is ridiculous, by the way. Carey Price, pretty good. I'm a fan. Marc-Andre Fleury, who I forget is a Chicago Blackhawk, and that logo is not right. The third goalie is Jordan Binnington. They've projected. I don't like it.
No,
I don't like it at all.
I think we all had Darcy Kemper.
I had Carter Hart.
Oh, yes.
I had like 5 goalies on mine. Remember that? I had Mackenzie Blackwood there as well.
Daniel doesn't count.
Carter Hart.
The third goalie is basically just whoever else is playing well.
Mike Smith. Exactly. He should come back.
I mean, no, but
absolutely not.
It's funny if the Olympics had been last sort of winter when Smith was playing well, he might have made it.
Yeah,
he shouldn't be, but the defense. I think they have this depth chart wise. So they have, I'm going to question one of these decisions. Baumgartner won't be happy with me about. So first they have Makar, then they have Pietrangelo, Ekblad, then Dougie Hamilton. The left side, Chikrin, Theodore Pelech, and Morgan Riley. No Shabbat.
Yeah.
And no Jared Spurgeon.
I only see one defenseman who can play defense there.
And Pelech. The others are good. Like here's the argument I have, right? To me, the locks on this team are Makar, Hamilton, and Pietrangelo. Because Pietrangelo can do it all. Dougie can do it all. Makar is not the best defensively, but he's not awful.
But he's so good offensively.
Yeah.
It outweighs it.
So those are the 3 locks. The 2 guys I have that aren't locks, but they're probably going to make it, are like Theodore and Ekblad.
Yeah.
So everyone else, the way I kind of have the Olympics thought in my head, right, is whatever that bottom pairing looks like is like Team Canada they don't need scoring. We're going to get to the forwards. Like, I think they need to balance that with some actual defensive gusto. And that's why I'm kind of mad that they didn't put here Jared Spurgeon. Maybe I'm just super on it, but you have 2 offensive guys with Morgan Riley and Jacob Chikrin, and whatever, have the debate. You throw Shabbat in there, any of those guys can make it. Flip a coin, who cares, right? Whoever of them is having the best year, it doesn't matter. But it's just like, okay, so you have Pelech. I like Pelech, but I don't know. I just don't like the disrespect to Jared Spurgeon. Maybe I'm just super dedicated to that pick, but it's just there just seemed to be like no respect. And maybe it's because Canada hate like having too many righties, too many lefties. But it's still like just go best player available at this point. And yes, that goes against my Danault thing. It was a meme. Shut up.
Remember, sorry, I'm going back World Cup of hockey. I've mentioned this so many times. Remember, Alex Pietrangelo played on the left side for Mike Babcock to allow Brent Burns to play the right side.
Listen, he does like to do that sometimes, okay? Because he did play Ron Hainsey on the right for 2 years.
So this is where it gets really silly. Okay. So the forwards. Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, and Connor McDavid. Oh, and by the way, there's Jonathan Huberdeau, Brad Marchand, Pat Bergeron, Mark Stone, Brayden Point, Matt Barzal, John Tavares, Ryan O'Reilly, Mitch Marner, Sean Couturier, Mark Scheifele. They don't have Bo Horvat on this team. They don't have Phil Deneau. Makes me sad. No Phil Deneau. But my goodness, my absolute goodness. Like honestly, you think about that. The fourth highest scorer in the league. And I want to say Tavares was second in goal 2-3 years ago in goals, are your fourth line. And the Conn Smythe winner from a few years ago as well is in your fourth line.
The best defensive winger in the league is on your third line.
You used the right words there, Alex. You knew what I was going to do there. The best playoff performer of the past 2 years, Brayden Point, is your third line center. What am I looking at here? What McKinnon and McDavid on the first line too is just how do you catch them?
You don't.
Exactly. That's simple. That I think forward wise, again, it doesn't matter. This team is so stacked. It's hilarious. Again, no Horvats there. I wonder if they have some of the other names that are just sort of out there as people mentioning the Hyman Kunitz stuff. Guys like Mackenzie Weegar being out, Pulak, Devon Taves. Weegar is another one. I've been looking a lot about Mackenzie Weegar's advanced stats. That's a good player. Yeah. That's a very, very good player.
Yes.
Shall we look at the states?
Yeah.
Before we go, I'd like the example they used of Adam Pelech, the next Mark-Edward Vlasic. I love that one.
This is true. I say we look at the states, and then we'll look at one more team after that. What do you guys?
Russia or
Latvia.
Whatever they're going to be called.
Okay. I don't think Latvia's on the team, so we'll go Russia. Okay, the Americans. I took one look at this roster and I thought, okay, there's no way Canada should lose. No offense, but the goalies, which is hilariously stacked, actually. They actually have better goalie depth than Canada. Hellebuck, Gibson, and Demko.
Daniel feels very disrespected right now.
Yeah, John Gibson should be first.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. The defense, Adam Fox, cool. McAvoy, cool. Carlson, John, can't really defend. Jeff Petrie, can't really defend. That's fine.
Unless he's an EA. Then he can defend.
Yeah.
Then he's a defensive. I do like seeing Petrie, by the way, as one of the extra guys here. That makes me really, really happy. McDonough, really good. Slavin, really, really good. Seth Jones are okay.
He's on the left side.
Oh my God. And then Quentin Hughes is there. I don't think you can really argue with that. It's not as good as Canada's.
No.
But it's still solid.
I'm personally offended that Quinn Hughes isn't in the top 6.
Yeah, same here.
But that's just me.
So let's look at this. McDonough, I think, could make Canada. I think he is almost like the left-handed Spurgeon in this scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Fox might not make Team Canada, but he should. McAvoy, I don't think would make Team Canada. Slavin's kind of the same thing as McDonough, I'd say. Jones wouldn't make Team Canada. Carlson, Hughes, and Petrie might not make Team Canada. Or Hughes is, of those 4 guys, the closest to making it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Jeff Petrie's the right-handed version of Shabbat, Chychrun, and Riley. It's hilarious.
Is it unfair of me to say I'd rather have Quinn Hughes in the lineup than Seth Jones?
No, not at all.
I'd agree to that one.
Because I would do that in a heartbeat.
Imagine Hughes not having to be the only guy that you put all the weight in the world on.
Exactly.
The forwards. The first line is projected to be Max Pacioretty, Austin Matthews, and Patrick Kane. That's all right.
It's pretty balanced.
pretty nasty.
I mean, Pacioretty. Okay, cool. I mean, he won't score, but
Well, he'll
if there's
score in
a
the round
single-
robin games.
It's a big
He'll score in
body.
the round
Exactly.
robin games.
Yes, he will. I like first off, like if Pacioretty takes a shot anytime Matthews is open, he gets benched.
Yeah.
Let's get that straight. The second line is pretty all right. Jack Eichel with Alex DeBrincat and Matthew Tkachuk. That's pretty nasty. DeBrincat and Eichel is a pretty nasty combo. I like that. The third line is kind of confusing to me. So Brady Tkachuk is projected to be on here. JT Miller on the wing, and Joe Pavelski, Captain Canada, is still going strong.
I mean, Captain America.
I said Captain Canada, didn't I?
You did.
Yeah.
You did.
That's a shame.
I
Yeah.
was about to say Captain USA. I'm like, wait, that doesn't sound right.
No. Captain America. Captain America. Whatever you want to call him. And then the fourth line is like, okay, Gensel's on your fourth line. Dylan Larkin's fine. And then Brian Rust. And the extras are Nelson and Johnny Gaudreau behind Brian Rust.
I would. Oh, why?
I'd flip Pavelski and Larkin, to be honest.
Man, forget them. Like Gaudreau's not in the main lineup.
Yeah, that's kind of. I don't know if I agree with that. Like we can have our discussion about Johnny Gaudreau. We've had it plenty of times before, but like he's better than Brian Rust.
Can we talk about? So it's like, okay, so let's talk here. Pacioretty will score in the round robin.
Yeah.
Matthews will score until it's like a medal game. Use Leafs the memes.
Yeah.
Kane will do stuff. DeBrincat, he's all right. Okay. Eichel, I mean, he hasn't played in the playoffs before. Actually, crap. If you look at this, the big wigs on the States hasn't had a deep playoff run. Pacioretty's bad in the playoffs. Kane's a bit different, but he's older. DeBrincat hasn't had a deep run. Eichel hasn't made it. The Flames and Tkachuk. I mean, the other Tkachuk's on the Flames. Pavelski's a bottom six player at this point. JT Miller, okay, fair enough. I mean, their most experienced guys are like Gensel and Rust. That's not and Gaudreau, who's bad in high pressure situations.
John Carlson. Oh, no, on the wing. Sorry. Yeah, but I mean, Pavelski's been to the finals twice.
Yeah, fair enough. But like in the big case scenario, like I get Kane, but like I can see Sidney Crosby being the guy at any point in that tournament. I can see it with McDavid, with McKinnon. I see the States as a very flawed roster. And where's Phil Kessel?
I would have Phil Kessel over Brian Rust. Hot
Same
take.
here,
I don't know if that's a hot. I don't know if that's
that's not a hot take. I like that one.
I love Phil Kessel. Phil Kessel is my guy. I would. Just
like Brock Nelson too. Like, where's Phil?
I would. So I'd make a couple changes to that lineup.
Oh, I just realized, Brock Besser's not on this team.
So on extra players, we debated a variety. So they chose not to put on. This makes a lot of sense all of a sudden. So they don't have Besser. They don't have Trocheck, whatever. He could probably be better, like in Pavelski maybe. Wheeler, Kyle Connor.
Oh, whoa, that was a huge one. Kyle Connor?
They don't have... For the physicality, that's why we leaned Larkin. Man, this is the World Cup of Hockey roster, basically, but instead it's Rust instead of Applicator. What am I looking at? They debated about Ryan Suter.
Oh my gosh, Zach Werenski's not on this team.
I would definitely play. I like both Tkachuks being on this team. Like I get Ottawa and all that. I could see two really nasty lines if they did this in this way. Maybe I'm thinking in terms of EA, like the GM mode, but I don't care. Like imagine Matthew Tkachuk, Matthews, DeBrincat, and then Brady Tkachuk, Jack Eichel, and Patrick Kane.
Or if you want to piss off Sidney Crosby, you go find if Dubinsky wants to come back from his ailing retirement, you put the Tkachuks on his wings, and then you just swarm Sid with the biggest pass ever. And it would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, I would just throw the Tkachuks together and let them do what they want.
I would. That would be my first option, but clearly, I guess they don't want to do that.
The Bash Brothers.
This is a questionable roster. Okay, we won't look at Sweden. We'll look at the Russian Olympic Union. I thought they were the Olympic
Athletes from Russia. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they changed it.
So the big problem looking at Russia is you're going to be like, why is Anisimov the second line center? And you're like, oh no, Kuznetsov is suspended.
Yeah, he can't play for Russia.
Because of the cocaine or the white substance that appears to be cocaine. So in net, this is pretty impressive, you got to admit. Shesterkin, Varlamov, and oh my there, that's Andrei Vasilevsky. That's a problem. On defense, this is kind of funny. Vladislav Gavrikov, Sergachev, Provorov. I just listen to how many times I say "of." So Varlamov, the goaltender. Defense: Gavrikov, Provorov, Zadorov, Orlov, Nestorov, Romanov, and then Artem Zub. And then you got Sergachev. The Russian defense is alarming. AK, how the heck is Alex Romanov on there? How did that happen?
Yeah, because I remember the last Olympics, not the last Olympics, but Andrei Markov used to be their guy in terms of anchoring it. And
I miss him.
Yeah, this is the aftermath of it. It's weird to see, but it's promising in terms of the youth, I think, or of young guys.
The left side is wicked. Orlov, Provorov, Sergachev. But then you're like, oh, Artem Zub and Nikita Zadorov. Oh, okay, all right, okay. That's weird. The forward group, as always, is pretty stacked. And what's really... Oh, no, Tarasenko's the extra. I didn't think I saw him for a second there. The first line is Malkin, Panarin, Kucherov. That's disgusting if Malkin is healthy. Radulov, Anisimov, Kaprizov, Svechnikov, Nemestikov, Shipchyov. But anyway, sorry. Yeah, then the second line is Ovechkin, Radulov, Anisimov. Third line, Nemestikov, Pavlovich, Kirill Kaprizov. The fourth line, Andrei Svechnikov, Vladislav Kamenev, Valery Nikushkin, and the extra guys are Vladimir Tarasenko. And remember Vadim Sipachev.
I do remember him.
He's one of the first guys to be signed by Vegas, I remember.
Yeah.
It's a interesting roster, I guess. Their greatest strength is goaltending. That's what it is. They're just not deep.
Yeah. They can give you trouble. We know they can score. They've got I wonder if they almost mirror Tampa Bay to me in the form of their left side of their defense is wicked good and the right side's okay, but the left side will carry it. It's just weird. Not to mention, here's what you got to think about too, right? Is what's funny about, I think Kaprizov would have been on this team is Kaprizov's a gold medalist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He would have been there. And you cannot tell me that the only thing that Ovechkin needs to do in this hockey world is he needs that gold medal. And he's not going to be over Sochi. I bet he's been boiling about that. This is the last sort of dance for Ovechkin trying to get that medal. And I think he's going to be on a rampage for it. And I think it's going to be exciting to watch.
It'll be interesting. I think you make a good point about they're like Tampa Bay. I think this team, of the three teams we've looked at, is the one designed most similarly like an NHL team, just because as you go down the lineup, the depth begins to disappear.
Yeah.
Man, Kuznetsov really hurt this team.
Yeah, Kuznetsov kind of really boned the Russians. I did not know that Nemestikov was a center, by the way.
Yeah.
That must be a recent development. That is, I don't believe
he was drafted as a center.
Was he?
Yeah.
I guess when you're playing behind Point and Stamkos, you never really get the chance, right? And then who's watching you in Vegas and all that, and then that kind of stuff. But yeah, if you want to know about Finland and Sweden, Erik Karlsson is on Team Sweden, by the way, and I'm happy about that. But yeah,
spoiler for the rest of the article.
Go read the rest of that. Okay. Finally, we'll discuss Ottawa. Okay, so this is what's very kind of strange about this. So first off, on Twitter, Sean Simpson of TSN 1200 tweeted on the 3rd of September, a few days ago. My source tells me frustration has set in with the Tkachuk camp. Brady is trying to stay positive, but doesn't understand why it's taking so long. I asked what he was offered, and it was turned. They have not received a legitimate offer from the Sens. So then I want to say it was actually the same day, Bruce Garriock, the same day, said, I guess Dorian was doing media, said, Dorian says they've had productive discussions with Tkachuk. Now, since then, on 31 Thoughts, the podcast that came out yesterday, Friedman said that he would be really surprised if Ottawa hadn't offered Tkachuk the sort of Shabbat framework of a deal around $8 times $8 million. I would be surprised by that as well. And it seems to be Friedman sort of speculated about they may want more than that, the Tkachuks. And sort of talking about that family knows the business, obviously, and all that, their father, Keith Tkachuk, may have heard of him, decent player for the Coyotes. Forget St. Louis, it's all about the Coyotes.
Not for Atlanta?
No, not from Atlanta, no. No one talks about Atlanta, come on.
So
I will always remember him as a Thrasher.
And that's your prerogative. But anyway, but seriously, the Sens have a pretty important player here that I think the big thing was if there were two guys, and what doesn't help is this gets announced, or that all this is coming out as Batherson signs a big deal, which I think was a bit too much, to be honest with you. It might sort of ends up being just like the Colin White deal, which is probably overpaid and paying at the wrong ends of your roster. But first off, Tkachuk, I think giving him 8's a bit of a stretch, to be honest with you.
So what Mark Methot tweeted, I wouldn't be surprised if he's looking for a 3-year bridge at somewhere around 7, see where the team is going, etc. One of those situations where he wants to see the team is willing to spend to win. Sean Simpson, TSN, retweeted saying, yes, been told that exactly.
Okay. That's fair. If you're Ottawa, but I think willingness to spend, I think you can argue the Sens have started doing that lately.
Have they? I don't know.
Well, think about it like this. Yes, they refused to give Erik Karlsson the deal. It was a phantom thing. They gave Shabbat the 8 times 8. Again, they paid White. They paid Drake Batherson. And if Friedman's right and they've given him 8 times 8, that tells me they're pretty willing to spend.
But you have to pay those two guys. It's not for me. It's you have to pay Shabbat and Tkachuk because those are the guys you pay. Are you will? I guess what I would be thinking is, are you willing to spend around? And there's 2 contracts that have gone more than 5 years that in recent years, which is Batherson and Colin White. They took on the Nikita Zaitsev contract.
Mm-hmm.
The Matt Murray contract was 4 years.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just to me, it's how much are you willing to spend? You want to be I don't know. Just to me, I don't know if they've proved that enough.
To defend the Sens, though, they're big guys that are coming, they're big draft picks.
Sure.
I always forget who's the young defenseman they drafted. Sanderson and that. Those are the guys that
I was gonna say Lassie Thompson.
Another guy. There are still important young players coming through. If you're the Sens, you think maybe I got to be careful spending too much now because I know those young guys are coming. I think the term to maybe see a competitive window in a few years is much more important. Because if you're the Sens, if you think about it, in 3 years, you could see Tampa Bay maybe start to fall off. The Bruins the same way. Yep. You would expect the Leafs are still going to be up there. Who knows with Montreal? You never know with them.
Right.
Detroit will be on the up and up. I wonder if there's also that sort of thing of you wonder what is the landscape of the Atlantic Division going to be in a few years, right? Now, I in that respect, I would understand him wanting the bridge. I just at some point though, I wonder. What do you actually come to here? Because we saw this thing of Kaprizov probably wanted to walk to free agency. Minnesota won 8 years. Now it looks like it's going to be around 5. We're waiting for that to actually happen. If you're the Sens, like you can't do a 3-year deal. Would that walk him straight to UFA?
That is a good question.
And
I
then
think
he just gives like a qualifying offer and tries to get the hell out of there.
that's what I kind of
think it's closer
feel.
to that.
Yeah, like what I kind of feel is that this is kind of like a Mark Stone situation, because remember for so long they were saying that he was going to be their next captain if he resigns, if he gets that extension, and then when he never signed that long-term deal with them. He just kept taking the smaller deals. Eventually, like when they traded him, it might still turn out to be okay, but like looking back at it now, like Eric Brancham really hasn't made the same strides we thought he was going to make.
Mm-hmm.
And right now it's just maybe they're kind of feeling that where they don't want to go back into another situation like that with a winger that they view as a foundational piece.
Mm-hmm.
Just about the spending.
Yeah.
It's, to me, they didn't do much in free agency. Like they brought in Del Zotto for 2 years, Nick Holden. That's about it. Like they could have done more. Like they're still under the floor.
Really?
Yeah, by like $3 million, I think.
Well, they probably think Tkachuk's on the plane.
Well, yes, of course, Tkachuk can get that over there. But we've also been told that the team, like publicly, Eugene Melnyk has said the team is willing to spend. Or we're getting to that point. We're a year or two away from that. Yeah. And it's like, well, what are we doing? You just traded Evgeny Dadonov.
Yeah, that didn't fit though. That
didn't fit though. But yeah, that's fine. If it didn't fit, it didn't fit. But what are you going to do to improve the team other than just the young guys?
Yeah,
that would be my
fair
process.
Fair enough. By the way, did we ever really talk about why the heck Vegas took him on? Weird thing there. That's not a center. No, it's not.
It's not a center.
No, it's not. Anyway,
did they lose a winger? I don't remember.
They can't keep. They just love the wingers. They can't keep. Like when you're playing EA, and you're playing for the game, and you just keep signing any guy like that. Just it's like, oh, that's a good deal.
I'll tell you, I've been trying to rebuild Nashville for a couple of years, and I just signed a bunch of extra wingers. And right now I have this situation where like Tomasino's a 79, right? But like he's almost plateaued there. And I feel like to get him to grow, I have to play him in the NHL. But I have like Toffoli at an 82 overall just sitting there. And by the way, this is the last year. Like I swear, I've gotten all these good. Anyway, it's frustrating, Nashville. But yeah, no, you just got like this axis of wingers. You're like, what am I doing? But Ottawa, get it done and put your fans out this misery. Patterson's still there. Hughes is still there.
Are we going to do this every week though?
Vancouver watch.
Honestly, it would be the best thing.
If you're in Montreal, why don't you just go after Pettersson and be like, what's Jim Benning going to do about it?
Do they have the cap to do it? That's what I was thinking when I saw it. Because you can be 10% over, right?
Yeah. Well, and plus the Weber LTIR, right? They would have been able to do it. It's just.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
You could have really, like Vancouver, not to mention because of their financial situation, they couldn't really bite you in the future. No. And at this point, if you're Bergevin, just go for it, man. Like at some point, you just go for it. And it's like if you want to get a difference-making center now, you have to trade Caulfield or Suzuki. You're not trading Suzuki because then that makes you weaker at center automatically. And, you don't want to trade Caulfield because he scores and no one on the team can, except like Toffoli. So, I just think, I wonder now if someone do it. Like someone he's right there. And I don't exactly think that the relations between Vancouver and Pettersson right now is amazing. We know Hughes too, but obviously we as we know, and for those of you who may not be aware, he can't be offer sheeted because some BS rules in the CBA. It doesn't happen. But yeah.
Do you know who should do it?
Ottawa.
Oh, yeah, that's a good shout. I was going to say Seattle just because I've been on this for way too long, but I want them to do it.
It would be the biggest start to that rivalry ever.
It would be. It'd be the best thing they could do. And
then the next summer, they figure out it's just Hughes gets a deal that walks him right, or he just does his qualifying offer or something. and then he gets offer sheeted by the Devils next year.
I'm telling you, chaos. That's what this league needs a little bit of, is maximum
More
chaos.
offer sheets.
Yeah, just no more Montreal's way. My heart can't take
I
that.
think I truly believe this will not destroy, but this will put a whole thing with the old boys club situation where it's like they're not just all friends at this point because everyone's offer sheeting each other.
I wonder if Waddell and Bergevin just had a talk and was like, "We cool now? We cool." Apparently Bergevin was supposed to go on vacation.
Yeah, I saw
and the
that.
offer sheet just ruined it.
Shoot.
I was like, oh man. Well, then I wonder, like, okay, so you're taking a vacation now. What have you been doing? Where is my puck moving defenseman in Jack Eichel before this, sir?
Somewhere.
Yeah, no, I'm probably going to New York. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to check what that poll I put up is at now.
Oh, yes. I did my best to
Thank you.
Get some support.
So I put up, for those of you who aren't aware, I put a poll on my Twitter saying, if you're Mark Bergevin, do you make an Eichel deal around Caulfield? 46 votes. 48% of the vote says yes. 52% says no. Not bad. There's also a username in here that is #Toronto. Caulfield, Suzuki, Romanov, and a first right. Okay, thank you.
Who said that?
His username is #Toronto.
#Toronto. Does he have numbers at the end of his username though?
No, it's Maple Leafer.
So that might be me. That might mean he's an actual person.
His first tweet is liberal conservative other. This is pretty messed up, and it's about okay, maybe I shouldn't keep going.
Awesome.
There's a lot of polls about Justin Trudeau and stuff. Okay,
awesome.
Yeah, we'll stay away from that.
See, I didn't understand this. I wouldn't trade this person for Jack Eichel. Like, just to me, like, there's a very limited group of people who I would not trade for Jack Eichel.
I think it's a mix of like Habs fans are sensitive right now to first round picks. They're working out. And like, here's the important thing people got to realize. If he's healthy.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So I don't mean just Montreal. Like, this goes back to the Rangers, the same team who didn't want to trade Braden Schneider or Niels Lundqvist in a deal for Jack Eichel. Like, get out of here.
I'd trade Lafreniere for him. And I'd be like, okay, bye.
Like, what's the list? What, like, just off the top of my head, personally, I wouldn't trade McDavid. I wouldn't trade McKinnon. I wouldn't trade Matthews. I wouldn't trade players. I mean, not goalies, because goalies are weird. Like, I honestly wouldn't trade Kucherov for, I don't know if that's controversial because of the age difference, but I wouldn't trade Kucherov for Jack Eichel.
Kucherov, I think it's, MVP guy, 120 points not long ago. Would you trade Braden Point?
I think I would. If Jack Eichel was healthy, yes.
I wouldn't.
The thing with Point that like will always like get him is his playoff performances have been like amazing. Same with Kucherov.
Like, the list shouldn't probably be longer than like 15 people.
You trade Cale Makar?
Oh,
see, that's
a tough one. Yeah.
Now
I trade Bowen Byron.
Yeah. Now we're comparing forwards and defensemen. It gets messy there. But yeah, like,
would you trade Marner for Eichel?
100%.
Yeah.
I would that one too.
100%. Like, the only guy on the Leafs I wouldn't trade Jack Eichel for is Austin Matthews.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, I think that's everything. What do we name the episode, you think? You'll find you listening right now, you're like, you already have it because we'll figure it out by then.
Mm-hmm.
What was the one that Daniel said before?
Something about Tempe?
Attempting at the Tempe.
Attempting the move. Attempting the move, whatever. So figure that out.
Attempting the Tempe move.
Sure. Or should we make it like a pun?
Yeah.
I know people already made like the 31 thoughts said caught Kane the Emmy. And I nearly died.
Zing.
His numbers in like it's like 82 now. Like, how gross. Disgusting.
Odd number.
The created player.
Exactly.
We'll figure it out. Okay, besides that, podcast is done. Maybe we'll see you Thursday, or like maybe we'll wait till Sunday because it's quiet again. It's probably going to be one a week now because,
Hopefully, there's more offer sheets.
Yeah, the offer sheet kind of made us go back into 2 a week for a little bit there. But, we don't know when we're going to see you next. But, school's starting, so maybe we'll be busy. Voice Ed, great platform for the show as always. Love you. Check out Alex's blog, my YouTube channel. Dvorak trade videos up there. Daniel's stuff for CGRU. His interview about the comic book stuff. Who doesn't love the Fantastic Four, except the movies, because they're awful. Good characters, though. Good cartoons when we were kids. That's why. Teletoon Saturday morning. It was great. Check out the TikTok. Check out the YouTube channel for a visual experience of the show. All our individual social medias. Facebook. Doesn't love the Facebook. And we will see you whenever we see you. If you miss us, well, we miss you as well. Goodbye.